Yo, it's your boy Casual with the Silent A podcast. And man, we're back with another one and a quick one at that. Hit that like, comment below, subscribe if you got some time. We appreciate that love. And for this, let's get straight into it. It's your 3-minute fight drill, your 3-minute fight breakdown. And for this, we got the likes of Chris Eubank Jr. taking on Conor Benn. Yes, Conor Benn for the second time, November 15th, 2025, over in the UK. How do we see this fight going? To be honest, we see this as a repeat. We got Chris Eubank Jr. winning this fight. How? Unanimous decision. And why? Abusing the jab and body work. Let's get into it. Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, we have us a real fight. We have a fight coming down. It's potentially going to be another fight of the year contender, as we've seen both men weigh in today, November 14th, 2025. Both men look sharp. Both men look ready to go. Both men look in shape. But that is the important part. At the last fight, in the last weigh-in, Chris Eubank Jr. looked a little bit deflated and dehydrated. But for this one, for this weigh-in in particular, he looked ready. He looked physically prepared, physically strong. He prepared better for this fight, like he took it serious, as he said he would. And he looked really, really sharp. And I mean sharp as in physique, strong, just confident in his walk, confident coming to that weight. And then more importantly, confident in the stare down. That's nothing to take away from Conor Benn. He himself looked good. He looked ready to go. But I expect that from the smaller man moving up to the 160 pound. You didn't have to drain down as much as this bigger fighter. And both men are always going to be confident, right? They both think they can win this fight. Both thought they actually won the last fight. But we know who won that one, Chris Eubank Jr. So let's get into how this confidence can transfer to the ring, right? Why did we pick Chris Eubank Jr. to win this fight? It's simple. If you watch the last fight, you can see that it really wasn't about the weight. It was more about the attributes they played in later. And one of those attributes was the length of Chris Eubank Jr. And the way he made it through that last fight is that he was beating Conor Benn later in that fight to the punch, and particularly to the jab. It wasn't a very sharp jab. It was a kind of a lazy jab because he was tired towards the end, but that reach advantage that he had allowed him to beat Conor Benn to the punch and keep him at bay at certain times, especially when he got hurt. He was able to do efficient body work later down the road and wear down the smaller fighter in Conor Benn and really sap that energy. He really took advantage of the stamina issues that Conor Benn tends to have. Now we're going to see if Conor Benn can turn it around in this fight and have a little bit of better gas tank as he goes to those later rounds. Even though he's saying he will punish and knock out the likes of Chris Eubank Jr. early. I don't believe it. I believe they're going in there for a 12-rounder, but, mind games have been started way back when this fight got signed. With that said, if the gas tank can hold up, we're going to see another barn burner, but I still see it in the favor of Chris Eubank Jr. Now, abusing the jab. To win this fight, I see Chris Eubank Jr., what I call abusing the jab, using the jab. It is the most important punch, right? We already know that. But more importantly, I need him to overuse it and then go to the body. Use that reach advantage that you got to beat the smaller fighter, keep him at bay, working with the jab, and more importantly, that jab is going to frustrate Conor Benn and get him out of his game plan like it did later in the fight, especially at times when he did have Chris Eubank Jr. obviously hurt. When that jab got in place, and then yes, it was lazy, yes, it was sloppy, but it threw off the rhythm, it threw off the cadence of Conor Benn, and that is what's going to be key to this fight, especially now that we've got a perceived stronger Eubank, a more physically sound and ready Eubank Jr. I think that jab's going to come in a little bit sharper, a little bit stronger, and I think he's going to throw off the rhythm of Conor Benn through the middle of this fight. I think Conor's going to start out strong between rounds 1 through 4. He's going to probably have his way. He is a little bit of the faster fighter. But as the rhythm sets in, I see Eubank taking over, again, using that jab, abusing that jab, and then second piece of this, as he's setting off the rhythm of Conor Benn with that jab, that long reach. I expect him to go back down to that body and dig in and hook off to the body of Conor Benn, especially as Conor's trying to reset from getting around that jab or trying to hook himself to get around that long jab from Chris Eubank Jr. I expect a right hook to the body An overusage of right hooks to the body from Chris Eubank Jr. to slow down this fighter and eventually sap the energy of the smaller man. This is the way I see the fight going. It kind of went that way in the first fight, but I expected it to be even more evident in this one. It was a sloppy fight, that first one, but an exciting fight, a true test of men in that first fight. It was true grit. Both men just slugged it out. They were tired. They were worn out. They were beaten. They were just drained. And obviously, Eubank went to the hospital after that fight for dehydration and other issues. This time, I expected to be a little bit fresher. I still expect some tiredness, some fatigue to set in, and we're going to see who is the stronger of the two between the stamina issue, meaning fatigue, as we always say here on this channel. Fatigue makes cowards of all men, but we're going to see which one can actually walk through it this time. The last time, it was Eubank Jr. He walked through fatigue, saw that fog of war, and stepped through it and muscled it out and got the well-deserved victory. In this fight, it's going to take that again. It's going to take a lot from both men to win this fight. Both men really want it. They want it for the nostalgia. They want it for their families. They want it for the history. They want it for UK boxing. These two men have the pride on the line. So it's going to come through who can walk through that fog of war, who can walk through the fatigue clearly between rounds 10 through 12 and probably round 9, honestly. But for both of these fighters, I think they're going to throw everything they've got at each other, the whole kitchen sink, and just do what they got to do. But back to the reason of winning here, right? The reason of winning, the reason we're picking Eubank, while they're throwing everything at each other, I believe the separator in this fight will be the reach advantage of Eubank Jr. He's got the attributes, right? The height, the reach, you name it, and the weight in this case. Now he's fresher. So with that attribute advantage, I expect an overusage of the jab, being smart this fight, keeping that smaller fighter at bay, having his way with him towards the end of this fight because he's going to invest in the foundation, put some water in that basement, start to break down the foundation of Conor Benn, and eventually have his way with the smaller fighter towards the end of this fight, all the way down to a unanimous decision victory. I don't see either fighter getting knocked out. Somebody could get knocked down, but I just don't see it right now. I just see this one going a true barn burner. Neither one of these men are like true known, just real power punchers, right? And they both have good chins. Both of these men have good chins. So I don't think either one of them have the power to break the other. But if someone does get knocked out, if someone does get a TKO stoppage, if somebody does get knocked out in this case, that's the way I see it. TKO stoppage, the ref for the corner. It will be mainly due to fatigue and just tiredness and the stamina being sapped and gone from one of the other fighters. In this case, I would pick TKO stoppage favor of Eubank Jr. stopping the likes of Conor Benn late in this fight, probably between round 10 and 11. But again, with that said, our first pick here, our first assessment, our first analysis is this. Eubank Jr., unanimous decision victory, November 15th, 2025, overuses of the jab, and then double that up with body work. I see him controlling this fight pretty clear, pretty easy. 115, 113, 116, 112 type victory, unanimous decision for Eubank. He's fresh. He's ready to go. He's mentally sound. I think this is going to be a great fight for him and a great way to end 2026 for UK boxing, man. Either way, that's our opinion on this. Hit that like button. Comment below. Let us know who you got, what you think about it, how you see these two men winning this fight. It's going to be a close one. It's going to be tight. But either way, hit that like button. Comment below. Subscribe if you got some time. We appreciate that love. Until the next time. Peace.